Hello everyone and welcome to the lesson on section 3.6, which is adding and subtracting polynomials. If you remember what a polynomial is, just a bunch of terms all separated by plus or minus signs. So we're going to start to add or subtract polynomials, and once we get done learning how to do this, please go to your textbook, page 157, 158, and you can complete these questions right here. And I'll take them up next time you're in class. So let's start with how to add or subtract polynomials. The nice part is, as long as you understood 3.5, which was the collecting like terms, today's lesson is only one more step. And the big step here is the only difference. We are surrounding our polynomials with brackets now. So you have this note in your bundle of chapter 3 stuff, so make sure you have this note. You can copy this out, and you'll notice that the only thing we have are brackets around our polynomials now. So we just have to learn one step in order to get rid of the brackets. As soon as you get rid of the brackets, it's going to look like a question that you did back in 3.5. Back here. It's going to look like these questions right here. So this was the first video from today. This is the second one, and this is what it's going to look like. So we just have to get rid of these brackets. And here's the first case. If there is a plus sign or nothing out front of your brackets, notice right here, there's nothing out front of the bracket. And notice right here, there's a plus sign out front of the bracket. If you have a plus sign or nothing in front, you are going to remove the brackets and keep the same signs. And I'll explain that after you copy this out. So maybe pause the video, copy this out, and then you can continue. So when I take a look at this bracket, I've got a 2x and I've got a positive 1, a positive 2x and a positive 1 inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this bracket, and I'm going to write my 2x, and I'm going to get rid of that bracket. I'm going to write the plus 1, and there they are with no more bracket. This plus sign right here basically says you stay the same sign. This is a positive, so it's a positive. And you stay the same sign, which is a negative. And that's all there is to this lesson. If there's nothing or a plus sign out front, get rid of the plus sign in the brackets and keep everything the same. Now, this plus sign is not this one here. Because this was positive, I put a positive in front, and I'll show you why in a couple examples. But now we're back to 3.5 where we collect like terms. So I start with my 2x, I move my plus 3x after, I take this sign with it, then I move my plus 1, then I have my subtract 4, and I'm just collecting like terms. 2 plus 3 is 5, and 1 take away 4 is negative 3. So the only new step today is to go from here to here. This rest right here is just section 3.5. So that's the first case, a plus sign or nothing out front. The only other case is, what if there's a negative sign out front? Then the same thing, we remove the brackets, but all the signs switch. They change signs. So pause the video, copy this out. And when you come back, I'll show you how to solve this here, which is getting rid of the brackets and keeping this the same, the 2x plus 1, just like we did up here, because there's nothing out front. There's nothing out front. But since this is a negative, this negative says, hey, you change to a negative, and you change, because you're a negative, to a positive. Each of these change. Now, the key is this was a positive 3x, so it becomes a negative 3x. This was a negative 4, becomes a positive 4. And this is the only new step from 3.6. Now we just reorder. So I keep my 2x, I move the negative 3x next, I put the plus 1 and then the plus 4. I can only add or subtract like terms, so 2 take away 3 is negative 1 of these x's, and 1 plus 4 is 5. And if you get rid of the 1 and just do negative x plus 5, it's even better. That's it, folks. That's the lesson. So if there's a plus sign or nothing, get rid of them, keep everything the same. If there's a negative sign out front, get rid of the brackets, and all the signs change. So let's do a couple examples here just so you can catch on. I take a look, I have a bracket, a polynomial in here, and a polynomial. I look out front, there's nothing. So I get rid of the brackets and everything stays the same. This is a positive. This goes away, the x stays positive, the -2 stays negative. Now I just reorder. Start with my 2x, I move my plus x next. This plus sign goes with it. The +3 moves after, and then I have subtract 2. And when I add my like terms, 2 plus 1 is 3 of these x's, and 3 take away 2 is a +1. And I'm done. I cannot add those together because they're unlike terms. Example 2. What's out front of this bracket? Nothing. So get rid of the brackets, and u stay the same. U, the positive 3x, excuse me, stays the same. And the +1 stays the same. They don't change signs. But look at this negative out front of the second bracket. The negative goes away, the brackets go away, and since this is a positive x squared, it changes. Since this is a -2x, it changes. And that should be positive. It was a negative, so it changes. And this is a -3, so it changes. Okay. So now I move my terms around, and I'm going to have to carry this mistake all the way through. But I keep my 2x, I move my -x squared. I move my +3x, and now I've got a +2x. I keep my +1, and now I've got a +3. And when I solve each of these, 2x squareds take away an x squared is an x squared. 3x's plus 2x's is in fact 5x's. And 1 plus 3 is a +4. And we're done. So again, this negative says you change, and you change. All three signs changed inside that bracket. So last one here, I take a look at this bracket. What's out front? It's a negative. So you change, get rid of the brackets, the 2y becomes negative, the +3x becomes negative, and the +1 becomes negative. Everything changes. What's out front of this bracket? It's a positive. So the positive goes away, the brackets go away, you stay the same sign, you're a negative, you stay the same sign, you're a negative, and you stay the same sign, you're a positive. That's it, that's 3.6. This is the new step. But now that we're here, we're back to 3.5, let's just reorder them. I start with -2y, and I move this -y next to it. I then put -3x, and I move the -x next to it. I have a -1, and I move the +3 after it. So now I've got 3 little questions to do, and I'm going to use a highlighter here to help. There's my first question. Here's my second question. And here's my third question. These little questions I have to simplify. So if I have -2y's and I take away another y, -2 take away one more is -3 of those y's. There's my yellow. This is not a subtraction. This is now a negative when I'm figuring out the green. This is -3 take away one more. That's -4 of those x's. Again, that's now a negative because we're figuring out the green. This is now a negative, even though it was a subtraction up here, became a -1 plus 3. That's a +2. And we put them all together, and now we can read it as -3y subtract 4x plus 2. The negatives and the subtractions are actually the same. The positives and the pluses are actually the same. So you saw a couple examples here, and the only thing that's new, just one more time, is to go from here to here, to go from here to here, and to go from here to here. The rest is just 3.5. So on the back, you try these 3 examples, and I will show you the solutions in a second. And then I'll go through this example, and we'll get your work in here. So pause the video, try example 4, 5, and 6, and then turn the video back on, and you can see if you got them right. Okay, so welcome back. I'm going to go quickly through these ones. Nothing out front of this bracket, so we get rid of it. Everything stays the same. And there's a positive out front of this one, so that goes away. Everything stays the same. I move my terms. 4 plus 2 is 6 of those x's. And negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. Again, it's a negative 3 plus 2. That's a separate little problem we're doing. What's out front of this bracket? Nothing. So the brackets go away. Everything stays the same. By everything, I mean the signs. What's out front of this bracket? It's a negative subtraction. So you change, and you change. Now we reorder. So I get them all in order. And when I simplify this from 3.5, I end up with an x squared, a negative 5x, and a positive 2. Last one. Negative out front, 4y squared becomes negative 4y squared. This goes away and this changes, that changes. A negative out front of this bracket, that negative goes away, the brackets go away, and this changes signs. Now we group our like terms. I put the y squareds first. I then put the negative 6y, and I put the negative 3 and the negative 1. So negative 4 plus 3 is a negative y squared, negative 1y squared, or just negative y squared. This is a term all by itself, so negative 6y. And this is negative 1 take away 3, or negative 4. Okay, so hopefully you understood those. One more question here, just dealing with a word problem. So Joan and Fred both work for Acme Condominium Maintenance. Joan is a plumber who charges $35 to visit a job site, and her hourly rate is $43.50. Fred fixes furnaces, so he charges $41 for a service call, and then $38.75 for every hour he works. Let X represent the number of hours they work. So this is just a word problem, and they give you how certain people charge. So Joan, 35 up front, and then $43.50 an hour. Fred charges a little more up front, but a little less per hour. So represent Joan's bill as a polynomial. Okay, well, if you're going to hire Joan to do some plumbing, you need to know that she's going to charge you $35 up front, and then $43.50 for every hour, and X is the number of hours. So there's her polynomial. Fred's is very similar, but Fred charges 41 up front and $38.75 per hour. So there's Fred's polynomial. But if they decided to work together and travel together and work together, then we can combine their polynomial together. So write a new polynomial that represents Joan and Fred's combined charge. Well, I'm going to put brackets around Joan's, and I'm going to put brackets around Fred's. So now I just have to add these two polynomials together, and we'll use our rules. What's out front of this bracket? Nothing. So you get rid of the bracket and everything stays the same. What's out front of this bracket? A plus sign. So it goes away, the brackets go away, and everything stays the same. I got a positive 41, a positive 38.75x. We move our like terms together. So the 35 and the 41, and then the 2x terms on the end. And when I add 35 plus 41, I get 76. And when I add our two wages, I ended up with 82.25. So this is their combined charge, $76 up front and this amount per hour. So this is calculate their combined charge if they both work 8 hours. Then we replace the x with the number 8, or we say let x equal 8. We take our new polynomial, we plug in 8 for the x, we multiply out 8 times 82.25, and then we add the 76, make sure you do BEDMAS here, and we end up with their total charge if they both work 8 hours. Okay, so that's it for the lesson. The key is just to know what to do if there's nothing or a plus sign out front, and what to do if there's a negative or a subtraction out front. And it's just a matter of keeping all the signs the same or switching all the signs. So your homework now is to do these questions on page 157, 135, 6, 7, 9. And if you do get done and you want to challenge yourself, take a look at 12 also. But this is what you're going to do. And I will take up any difficulties next time I see you in class. So hopefully this goes well. Hopefully you understand. And if there's any trouble, please message me on Edsby.